Have you ever wondered if the exercises you are doing could be making your carpal tunnel symptoms worse? In this video, I'm sharing common exercises and stretches that you may see all over the internet that promise to help your symptoms, but they actually could be hurting your chances at finding relief from numbness and tingling. More importantly, stick around and I'll show you two rather simple carpal tunnel exercises to do instead. Now, before we dive in, it's important to take a second to review what carpal tunnel is. Carpal tunnel is a compression of your median nerve at your wrist, and this causes numbness and tingling to your thumb, your index finger, your middle finger, and half of your ring finger. The other half of your ring finger and your pinky finger is not affected. The hallmark sign of carpal tunnel is that your symptoms are often worse at night. Now, let's jump into those carpal tunnel exercises that you should avoid and why. Worst carpal tunnel exercise number 1 is wrist flexion stretches. Wrist flexion stretches are often recommended for carpal tunnel relief, but are not as beneficial as you think. Bending your wrist forward and overflexing your wrist actually can compress your median nerve within your carpal tunnel. Excessive flexion not only prevents your nerve from gliding or moving, but when you think about it, you're actually pinching it, which can cause your symptoms to worsen. The other reason why I think this is one of the worst exercises is because the stretch requires you to place your wrist in the same position as the Phelan's test. The Phelan's test is a diagnostic test for carpal tunnel. To do this test, you want to flex both of your wrists and press them together. This compresses your median nerve. If you get numbness and tingling in your fingers and your thumb, then this is considered a positive test. You could basically say that wrist flexion stretches are a Phelan's test that you're doing over and over again. Pass on that one. Worst carpal tunnel exercise number 2 is wrist extension stretches. So now we move from wrist flexion to wrist extension. This similar stretch requires you to bend your wrist in the opposite direction into extension, which in turn can cause overstretching of your median nerve. Now, interestingly, one study suggests that people with carpal tunnel actually have a smaller tunnel. You could just be born with it. What's bad about that is when you have carpal tunnel, your nerve is enlarged and swollen. And so a tunnel that is smaller plus an enlarged nerve does not necessarily equal a good combination. The reason I mention this is because when you stretch into flexion and extension, the space available for the median nerve gets even more narrow, and this increases the pressure on the nerve, causing those numbness and tingling symptoms. And another study stated that passive flexion or extension of your wrist could lead to a 5-fold increase in your carpal tunnel pressure. Bottom line, skip pushing into end ranges of motion that increase pressure on an already aggravated nerve. Worst carpal tunnel exercise number 3 is gripping exercises. Now, I'm referring to resistive gripping and repetitive squeezing exercises. Even though they might seem innocent, they apply a lot of mechanical load to your wrist and could actually increase the pressure in your carpal tunnel significantly. When you grip, your lumbricals, which are small muscles in your hand, are thought to jam into your carpal tunnel space, adding to more nerve irritation. The tunnel is already packed with no extra space for additional muscles to be repetitively moving in and out of. Your tunnel is about the size of a quarter, and that's not a lot of room for your median nerve, 9 finger and thumb tendons, plus 4 extra lumbrical muscles. That's a lot of uninvited guests. And another reason that's really more of a hypothesis on my part is that if your sensation is impaired, you may not realize how hard that you're gripping. Since your fingers don't feel sensations normally, you could be gripping forcefully, which could then aggravate your nerve even more. Just something to think about, and for that, avoid squeezing into tight fists over and over again until your nerve calms down and your sensation returns. And finally, worst carpal tunnel exercise number 4 is median nerve glides. To clarify, I actually mean incomplete median nerve glides. Now, hear me out on this one. Not all median nerve glides are created equal. There are many variations that you may see. Median nerve glides are specific exercises that target movement to your nerve and are commonly given for carpal tunnel relief. In fact, I have a video on them here. Nerve glides, when they're performed correctly, can actually be helpful. However, they should be done in multiple steps or phases. Often there can be 4 to 5 steps to complete a median nerve glide, so you can monitor for increased symptoms. But steps 1 through 3 or 1 through 4 are typically skipped, resulting in an incomplete nerve glide. And this involves combined stretching of your neck and your shoulder and elbow and wrist, and usually you're moving too quickly through these motions. When in reality, you want to complete the full glide. Move slowly, just one step at a time, so you can make sure you're not increasing your symptoms. The other problem is many people mistake a nerve glide for a muscle stretch and inadvertently overstretch their nerves. Bottom line, it's best to do nerve glides in stages, slowly, and only if you are symptom-free. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you shouldn't bend your wrist in flexion or bend your wrist in extension or grip anything when you have carpal tunnel syndrome. But by steering clear of exercises that can actually aggravate your nerves, you can start moving forward and finding ones that provide relief. So what should you do instead? The good news is I have 2 exercises for you. The first is a myofascial stretch to your carpal tunnel ligament. Now, remember when I told you earlier that wrist extension stretches were one of the worst? Well, there is a way to do them so they aren't so bad. In fact, there's a research study that shows that if you put your wrist into extension but focus on stretching your carpal tunnel ligament, you can in turn lengthen the roof of your tunnel, therefore giving it more space. To do this myofascial stretch, you want to place your hand flat on a wall and gently pull your thumb near the base of the thumb with your other hand. Now, this stretch should be felt over the carpal ligament at the bottom of your hand. And you want to hold this stretch for about 30 seconds. And then you would want to go ahead and repeat that 4 times a day for a total of about 6 weeks. Now, the second carpal tunnel exercise to do is finger abduction and adduction, better known as finger spreads. This exercise is based on a promising research study that compared several traditional exercises to see which one actually targeted the median nerve within the carpal tunnel the most. And out of all of the exercises, the finger abduction and adduction exercise resulted in the most nerve gliding throughout the arm and in the tunnel. The other more traditional exercises showed very little or no actual movement of the nerve within the tunnel. This is really important because our nerves and tendons need to move smoothly within all those little spaces and tunnels that they travel through in the arm. So to do this exercise, you want to stand with your arms out to your side, shoulders and elbows bent at about 90 degrees, fingers and wrist straight. Then what you want to do is you want to spread your fingers apart and bring them together. This is abduction and adduction of your fingers. What's great about this exercise is you can do both hands at the same time. Let's go ahead and do 10 of these together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good job. And you'll want to repeat these about 3 to 4 times a day. And that's it. Now, you may think these exercises seem too simple or just too good to be true. But movements that target your median nerve shouldn't be complicated, cause increased symptoms, or overstretch your nerve. You really can do both of these anywhere. Of course, it is important to get a thorough evaluation and make sure that you actually have carpal tunnel syndrome and not a lookalike condition such as Lacerda's syndrome, pronator teres syndrome, or a cervical involvement. And it's really important to always make sure that you take the time to explain your symptoms clearly to your doctor. Now, if you found this video helpful, do please give it a like and hit that subscribe button below. And if you're interested in more tips to stop your numbness and tingling, then check out these videos here. Until next time, thanks for watching.